So I'm not too sure what I'll talk about this morning, but I just felt inspired to come on, and I don't question it when that happens. So I'm going to make a cup of coffee, but here's what I want to say to you. On this spiritual journey, you would think to yourself, well, the more that I elevate my consciousness, the more that I increase the frequency of my body through letting go of control, through surrender, through forgiveness, and the list goes on. You would think that you would start to have more agency, that you would have more authorship over your own story. And what you end up discovering is that the opposite happens. Now, from one perspective, you do have more agency. You do have more choice in the sense that you're acutely aware of what's going on in the room. You're acutely aware of what's going on in your thoughts, which thoughts are fluttering in your mind, and so on and so on. And so from that perspective, yes, you do get to choose what you engage with, who you engage with, or what you disengage from. But even that isn't even a choice. In the beginning, it is, because you're still purifying your heart. But eventually you realize, that wasn't really choosing. It was more me following the frequency of my higher self or source or God or the universe. So even that isn't really a choice because you're one with this rhythm. You become one with this frequency. So you're not really choosing anymore. So what you end up uncovering, if you will, is that it's not about you anymore. It's not your choice. When you harmonize with Source, when you harmonize with this universal intelligence, it starts to select things through you. There's nothing for you to do. In other words, if you don't have an answer as to what to do next, it means that there is nothing to do except work on yourself from within. That's it. And in time, when the universe deems it suitable to impulse you into action, then it will. Or if it wants to share a message through you, then it does. I don't know what's coming out of my mouth right now, but this is just what naturally and organically happens when you learn to get out of the way. That's it. So you start having less and less and less choice. And a lot of people ask me, well, what's the point of a free will if I don't get to choose? The point of the free will, because everyone's been given a free will. You can go stab somebody if you want right now. You can go love somebody. You can go buy them a gift. Everyone's been given a free will. But the free will's main purpose is to choose to align to Source. That's all. You were given a free will to remember who you are through the aligning with Source, with God. Once you're aligned with God's Source, your free will can be chucked out the window. It doesn't matter at that point because you don't get to choose anything. You can spend 2 years in isolation. Can you force going out? Can you force calling friends? Yeah, but you're forcing it. So at that point, you're using or misdirecting your free will. See, most people on this planet are misusing or abusing their free will, including the systems at play. They're misusing the government, all of that. They're misusing and abusing their free will. So they're using it to dominate or to exert power over another. This happens in relationships as well. People use power to control you, but that's misdirected free will. The only purpose that your free will serves is to, at the beginning, it feels like you're making choices. And then once you're clicked in, once you're synchronized with this higher intelligence that we call God, Source, then everything is chosen through you. So again, you would think that the more that you elevate your mind, the more choice you're going to have. Oh, well, when I elevate my mind, I'm going to take over the world. When I elevate my mind, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And I'm going to speak on stage. I'm going to write these books. No, actually the opposite starts to happen. Because in the higher dimensions, you're not operating as a singular being anymore. You're operating as a collective mind. Think about it. The more empathetic you become, when you speak, aren't you a little more cognizant of what's coming out of your mouth? Of who you might affect adversely or positively? Yeah, because it's not your mind anymore. You've let go of your mind. You've aligned to something that transcends the mind. And that something is this collective consciousness that we're all a part of. So just by nature of elevating your consciousness through the purification of your heart, through the clarification of your mind, through forgiveness, through giving people room to grow, and so on, not holding grudges, not punishing people, not criticizing people, through that, you kind of float up and you become one with others. So you become a telepath. As you're speaking, you can hear what needs to be said and what shouldn't be said. So it's no longer your mind. It's a mind, if you will, that is in service to everyone else. Because when you speak, you're speaking other people's thoughts. Because it's not about you anymore. You're catering to people's hearts. You're helping to jog their memory of who and what they are. And so when it comes to your life, it doesn't matter at that point what you wish to manifest. That's completely irrelevant. What you've managed to do is to manifest that greater part of yourself onto this world. You've gotten out of your way over and over and over again to the degree where that higher part of you, that greater part of you that is not an individual mind, is able to step forward and introduce itself to the world as a consciousness that is one with everything around it. Now, what ends up happening is, well, number one, you stop manifesting physical things because you realize my life isn't about me anymore. My life is about what's best for the collective whole, for what's best for all of humanity. So many people, this is really deep what I'm about to share. So many people are taking these selfies narcissistically, right? Oh, it's all vanity. And I'm not judging it. It is what it is. I did that too. So you never judge what you've done. That's something you'll learn as well. You just don't judge it. But the energy that comes off of those photos, right? The energy that comes off of someone pointing the finger at you or blaming you or shaming you, that energy contaminates the universe. See, most people don't realize it's a self-serving energy. You're doing it for vanity, personal gain, adoration, for likes, for views. You're doing it to attract the wrong people, even though you think you're going to be attracting the right people. You're going to be attracting the wrong reality. Because if your energy is off, if your energy is lopsided, yes, you might become famous. Yes, you might gain a huge following. However, because the energy that was coming off of you wasn't in alignment with source, with integrity, with what's best for the collective. What's best for the collective right now is telling people that they're perfect as they are. What's best for the collective right now is telling them they're beautiful, even if they have scars, even if they have a little jelly roll. That's what's best for the collective. So any energy that comes off of you that is lopsided or slightly off is actually contaminating the universe. You're not operating as a collective mind, meaning a mind that is shared by all of us. Think of us as we're like the vacuum cleaners. We're cleansing out this mind that has been so infected through opening up our hearts, through loving again, through extending grace and forgiveness, through doing things that won't make people feel less than, that won't make people doubt themselves, that won't make people question themselves, that won't bring up people's insecurities, and so on and so on. So when people are doing that, number one, they're on the wrong path. But it's not the wrong path in the sense that they need to explore that side of them, just like I explored that side of me. And hopefully, every time they do it, they will hear this inner voice saying, hey, that's probably not the highest thing for you. Because that voice is always whispering to you. Always. Now, a lot of people choose to look away. We don't want to look. We don't want to listen. But eventually, if we're stubborn enough, and if our heart is good enough, if you're stubborn enough, and if your heart is pure enough, you will take heed. You will listen to those internal instructions that are being provided to you throughout the day. When you say something that's offensive to someone, right away, that voice tells you, hey, course correct that. Say sorry, or don't do it again, or forgive yourself for having done it and know better for the next time. So this is a path of raising your consciousness by being aware of yourself, by being aware of how you affect those around you. Everything ripples out. Everything is like a domino effect. If you talk smack about someone behind their back, you don't realize this, but you're actually hurting their soul from afar. And I've done it too. Believe me, I'm able to share this stuff because I've done this more than anyone. And then I felt sick in my heart. I felt sick to my stomach. And then when you're sick to your stomach, you get sick of yourself. And you realize that was never my true self. That was my lower nature. It was my lower self. Okay? So as you raise your consciousness, you start to spiral upward and you become part of a shared mind. I call it the shared mind. Yeah? You become telepathic. Why? Because you're empathic. And so it's no longer about you. It doesn't matter if you want to show off your body. It doesn't matter what you want to do. It doesn't matter how many books you want to sell. You're simply going rogue. You're going rogue because you're not obeying, if you will. You're not following the higher path, which is you are one cell in the body of God, and cells have to work together. Yeah, if one cell decides to go on his own, to have its own agenda, that starts to cause cancer. I don't know the process. I'm just speaking out loud, but basically you get the idea. So when you're doing things that are misaligned, okay, you will know right away. That voice is always speaking to you, but most people don't want to listen to it because they're still more dominant than the spirit world that is guiding them to help them become a better version of themselves. The spirit world is always with you. It's always giving you instructions. But very few people will listen, which is why there are very few Buddhas and very few Jesuses or Yeshuas, or there are very few masters that walk this earth because it's a scary path. Because now you're not subscribing to what society wants from you. You don't care about the bells and the whistles and the sparkles and all of that stuff. You're following a straight and narrow path, and that leads you to, if you will, your highest destiny. But it's all guided, so you're not really choosing. If anything, you're listening. You're not choosing, you're listening. So as you become more and more elevated in your consciousness, you will lose that sense of agency because at that point, your free will is gone. You've already aligned and clicked into the state of alignment with God, with Source. So that free will has been discarded. Now it's all about this higher will, God's will, the will of Source, the will of this higher universal intelligence. Does that help you guys? So I spoke for how long and I didn't even get my coffee, but that was my message for today. I love you. If you enjoyed it, please share it. If not, it's all good. I'll see you in the next episode.